All right, let's dive into something pretty incredible today. We're going to look at a new report from the World Wildlife Fund that tells a fascinating and pretty urgent story about how even a tiny shift in the Earth's temperature could spell big trouble for the absolute biggest animals on the planet, whales.
You've probably heard this number thrown around a lot, right? 2 degrees Celsius. It's the big, scary threshold for climate change. But, it's still just a number. It's kind of abstract. So what would a world that's 2 degrees warmer actually look like?
Well, if you're a whale living way down in the Southern Ocean, it looks like your entire world is about to be turned upside down. For them, 2 degrees isn't some abstract concept. It's a fight for the survival of their species.
So why that specific number? Scientists have basically drawn a line in the sand at 2 degrees. They see it as this critical tipping point, beyond which we risk triggering what the report calls dangerous climate change, with consequences that we just can't undo.
And here's the kicker. We are getting to that line fast. The models used in this study predict we could hit that 2-degree mark as early as 2042. And think about that. That's well within the lifetime of a single whale being born right now. And this really gets to the heart of it. The global issue you see on the left is the direct cause of the life-or-death crisis for the animals on the right. The fate of our planet and the fate of these magnificent giants, well, they're completely connected. To really understand why, we've got to take a trip to one of the most remote, most extreme places on Earth. It's a place that seems totally pristine and untouched by humans, but it's actually right on the front lines of this whole thing.
Welcome to the Southern Ocean, the vast, icy sea that surrounds Antarctica. This place is a critical destination. After swimming for thousands and thousands of kilometers, many of the world's great whales show up here for one main reason. It's time to eat. This is the all-you-can-eat buffet that has to last them the entire year.
And we are talking about some of the most awe-inspiring animals you can imagine. You've got the Antarctic minke whale, who lives right in the ice. And then the epic migrators, like humpbacks, blue whales, fin whales, and even sperm whales. They all rely on this one incredibly fragile ecosystem.
Okay, so let's break down the 2 massive threats these whales are facing. The first one is that a 2-degree warmer world attacks the very foundation of their home. The sea ice itself is disappearing.
And this slide right here shows you exactly what that means. On the left, that's what the average sea ice cover looks like now. On the right, that's the projection for a 2-degree warmer world. The amount of ice we could lose is just staggering.
How staggering? Well, in some of the most important areas for these whales, the climate models are projecting a drop in sea ice of up to 30%. Can you imagine losing a third of your home? Just gone? For a species like the Antarctic minke whale, this is an absolute catastrophe. They are totally dependent on the ice. They live in it, they feed in it, they use it to hide from predators. A 30% loss of your entire habitat. It puts the whole species at risk.
But the melting ice creates a second, even bigger problem. Because that ice is also home to this little guy, the Antarctic krill. These tiny shrimp-like creatures are basically the engine of the entire Antarctic food web. Everything down there, especially the great whales, eats krill.
And the connection here is devastatingly simple. Krill absolutely need the sea ice to survive. Their young use the underside of the ice as the nursery over the winter. So you can see where this is going. No ice means no krill. And for the whales, no krill means no food. The buffet is closed.
So just to recap, the whales are losing their home and their main food source is collapsing. But wait, there's more. The second huge problem is that whatever food is left is moving farther and farther away, forcing these whales on what has to be the longest lunch commute in history.
To get this, you need to know about something called frontal zones. The easiest way to think of them is as the ocean's giant food courts. They're these natural boundaries where nutrient-rich water from the deep ocean rises to the surface, and that creates these massive buffets of krill that whales literally travel the globe to get to. And here's the issue. As the ocean warms up, it actually pushes these food courts south, cramming them closer and closer to Antarctica. You can see it so clearly on these maps. The whole buffet is shifting and shrinking. And how far are we talking? Well, the models are projecting that migratory whales might have to travel an extra 500 kilometers. That's over 300 miles, just to reach their dinner table.
Now, if you're a humpback or a blue whale, you've already just traveled thousands of kilometers to get here. An extra 500 is a massive deal.
It's a huge drain on their energy. It means a more exhausting journey and, this is crucial, it means less time actually at the feeding grounds to pack on the pounds they need to survive for the next year.
So this story about the whales, it's a really powerful, really specific example of a huge global problem. And their story forces us to zoom back out and ask the big questions. What's causing all this? And is there anything we can actually do about it?
The report is incredibly clear on this point. The warming we're seeing isn't some natural cycle. It is the direct result of greenhouse gases that we've been pumping into the atmosphere from human activities, like burning fossil fuels, ever since the Industrial Revolution. But the report also makes it clear that we have the solutions. It's not a mystery. The path to staying below that 2-degree line really comes down to these 4 key things: using less energy overall, using the energy we do use way more efficiently, switching to clean, renewable energy, and protecting our forests. But here is the critical takeaway. We are on a very, very tight schedule. The science is telling us that global emissions have to peak and start dropping within the next 5 to 8 years. And if we don't, the consequence of that delay is permanent, irreversible damage to ecosystems, just like the one these whales need to survive. And that leaves us with this final, stark warning from the report. What's happening to the whales in the Southern Ocean is really a message for all of us. Their world is being pushed to its absolute limit, and so is ours. The only question left is, what are we going to do before this window of opportunity closes for good?